At this time, I'd like to introduce Karen Reeves.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Reformed Republican Party of Eddystone rally. I would like to begin by thanking everyone for being here and for your continued support throughout our campaign. I would also like to thank my fellow running mates who have remained strong, positive, and unified. For this, we should all be commended. Special thanks to Dave and Dandy Patterson, Ryan Lynch, and Dan and Angela Arison for your support and for believing in us and for what we stand for. There was a lot of negativity, untruths, and false accusations made by our opponents. Through all of this, we remain strong and focused on our platform and what the needs for the betterment of this borough are. Fiscal responsibility. Fiscal means financial or pertaining to the treasury or revenue parts of the government. Responsibility is having a legal or moral obligation to or being accountable for something. Although the definition of the two words making up the term fiscal responsibility means having an obligation or being accountable to the finances for the revenue and the treasury departments. The term is used to describe everything from financial reform to tax cuts. Excuse me. Fiscal responsibility is also used to describe a balanced budget or one where the expenses match the revenues. It means having a balanced budget. In my 11 years, 5 months, and 20 days, I have always maintained a balanced budget at fiscal year end. We have also held the line on taxes over the last 7 years. We have not cut any of our services like trash removal, which is at no charge to our residents, and Eddystone may be the only municipality statewide to offer this service free of charge. I can confirm locally we are. We have no plans on cutting any services to our residents. We are striving to make more services available and still remain fiscally responsible. One may ask how some members in support of the Eddystone Republican Party, led by Ralph Orr, plan on being fiscally responsible when no one has ever seen a platform, let alone an idea from that party. Danielle Thompson, who claimed she had some legitimate questions when she first became a council member, and yes, some were legitimate, chose to go on her own witch hunt instead of going right to the source as recommended by fellow council members for her answers, thus costing the taxpayers $28,000 for an agreed-upon procedure engagement, not an audit. For those of you who don't know the difference between the two, in an agreed-upon procedure, there is a set directive as to the scope of the records being looked at or in question. An audit, on the other hand, includes all records. If an audit was performed, then it would have included all departments and all employees, not just certain departments and only non-uniform employees. An audit would have also cost the borough several thousands of dollars. But I'm sure it would have answered a lot of questions pertaining to certain individuals who many of you have questioned for years. Do we need more controls put in place? Absolutely. One can never be too cautious, and some recommendations that come from findings by our auditor, none criminal, from having an agreed-upon procedure engagement have already been implemented. We have taken fiscal responsibility. In closing, I look forward to working closely with the members of the RRPOE as we hopefully begin our new journey together in January 2014 when we all get sworn in. Make the right decision on May 21st. It's your future.
For those of you that are not aware, Councilwoman Despo Tatasciore recently underwent surgery for a double knee replacement. I believe everything has gone well, but however, she is in the hospital and unable to join us. But Despo was kind enough to write her words down, and I'd like to introduce her daughter, Dessie, to speak on Despo's behalf.
Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my mother, Despo Tatasciore. So this morning, I had a hard time writing this speech, so I was talking to someone who I love a lot, and she told me about the first time my mom ran for council. She was the first woman in Eddystone to run independently for a seat, and on election day at the polls, not one of the members of the existing council spoke to her. She did not know the procedures for the day, and at the closing of the polls, one gentleman told her to go home and that she was done. Instead of listening to that person, she waited and watched and learned about voting day. And you know what? She won. All alone, she won. She's been on council for 19 years, and she was the only female up there for a very long time. She had to go up against men who thought that she was just a woman, men who would try to make decisions without her, and men who questioned her knowledge of borough business. What they didn't know was that she was smart, and she's never backed down no matter how tough it got. While some clever people make up lies and accuse my mother of wrongdoing, I will remind you of what my mom has done. In 1989, along with members of the Centennial Committee, my mother created a series of awards to give to outstanding Eddystone students at Ridley High School's Senior Awards Night. Until then, our kids were overlooked. And since these awards started, many students from Eddystone have been celebrated for their achievements. Also, around 15 years ago, to commemorate Women's History Month, my mother partnered up with Eddystone Elementary School to create an essay contest honoring women who impact the lives of others. And over the years, my mother has had the honor of giving gifts and encouragement to these young writers at one council meeting a year. By doing this, it shows the importance of having an education and gives these young students a chance to be proud of themselves in front of members of their community. This is just two things that my mother has done for the betterment of Eddystone, and both of which benefits and showcase the children of our great town. I believe it is because first and foremost she is a mother, but was also a member and president of Eddystone Home and School, where she worked tirelessly to take the financial burden off of parents to have field trips free for all students, among other things. So while her children are out of school, she still finds a way to give the kids from Eddystone support and recognition. Our family has tried to convince my mom not to run again in another campaign for re-election, knowing full well the lengths the opposition would go to defame and disgrace my mom. But I know, though, that if she were here tonight, she would ask that everyone support the candidates of the RRPOE ticket.